faithfully delivering value by interpreting the world's best books. Hi, this is Sally from the book club. Today we're interpreting the book Attached for you. The subtitle asks, why do we love so humbly? Oh, this book focuses on controlling men in intimate relationships. They're two-faced, sweet one minute, then exploding with rage the next, using harsh words to belittle women's feelings and achievements. And they're also dictators. They don't allow women any differing opinions. Everything must go their way. Some controlling men even force their wives to cut ties with friends and family, keeping them confined at home. Under such immense pressure, many women's self-esteem crumbles, loving in an extremely humble and painful way. Others may turn to drug abuse or binge eating, leading to depression, digestive issues, obesity, and more. The author, Susan Forward, is a renowned American psychotherapist with over 20 years' experience consulting at psychological institutions and clinics. She's also a best-selling author. We at Sally Book Club have covered her other works, like Emotional Blackmail and Obsessive Love before.
To help women reclaim autonomy, Susan drew on her experience to write Attached, detailing controlling behaviors, why women stay, and how to break free.
After publishing, it sold over 2 million copies in the US and topped the New York Times bestseller list for 44 weeks straight. I'll now walk you through the book's key points in 3 parts. First, what are the signs of a controlling man? Second, why some women can't escape control. Third, how to break free from control. All right, let's begin. First, what are the manifestations of controlling men? The author includes a detailed questionnaire listing over 20 specific controlling behaviors. We've also attached these questions in our show notes. If your partner matches more than 10, he's likely controlling. I've grouped these behaviors into 3 main categories. The first is self-centeredness. Controlling men believe women should prioritize men's needs above all else. In their eyes, women aren't equals. They're servants meant to devote themselves unconditionally.
Women must love him, support him, and even earn money to support him, without making any demands on him.
The author had a client named Jackie, whose husband Mark hadn't closed a single business deal in 7 years and nearly bankrupted the family with failed ventures. Jackie shouldered all household expenses alone, yet Mark felt no gratitude, considering it only natural. Whatever Mark did, Jackie wasn't supposed to question it, only to love and give unconditionally.
Once Jackie discovered Mark hadn't paid important bills. When she asked, he exploded, accusing her of disrespect, calling her a shrew for daring to question him about mere bills.
This mindset escalates until controlling men expect women to have telepathic powers, understanding unspoken needs, and fulfilling every desire proactively. They often say, if you really loved me, how could you not know what I'm thinking? Thus, any action not aligning with their wishes becomes proof of women's lack of love. Controlling men also believe women shouldn't express needs or emotions since they must center around men. For instance, a typically strong wife cried over a setback. Her husband snapped, "How could you cry like that? It's such a downer." Controlling men's the second category is psychological abuse, using various methods to demean women, destroying confidence, self-esteem, and security. One common tactic is threatening physical violence. A wife went to a movie with a friend, missed her bus home, and arrived slightly late. Upon entering, she found her husband enraged. He tore off her dress and hat, shredded them with scissors, and threw them into the fireplace. Another time, when she burned toast, he smashed every dish in the kitchen. Though he didn't hit her directly, this inflicted psychological trauma nearly identical to physical abuse. She lived in constant terror, fearing he'd become violent. Some men aren't physically extreme, but scream insults and accusations.
Whenever anything goes wrong between them, men push all the blame onto women.
One wife told the author about a time she and her husband attended a party. He ignored her and flirted with other women. After she expressed dissatisfaction, he accused her of being too jealous and needing to control her jealousy. Some men's psychological abuse is very subtle. They use educating women as a pretext to actually mock and belittle them. One husband particularly enjoys belittling his wife's taste, appearance, and personality. He criticizes her jeans for mismatching colors, looking awkward, and mocks the movies she likes as shallow and childish. If his wife gets upset, he'll say it's all for her own good. But in reality, his goal is to crush her confidence and self-esteem. It's important to note that controlling men aren't always insulting. They might be furious one moment and tender the next. Apologizing to their partner makes women think the bad temper is temporary. Thus, many choose to endure, believing that as long as they obey the man, he'll always treat them well, making it harder to escape control. The third category of controlling men's behavior is restricting freedom. It's the ultimate control tactic. They demand women prove their love by giving up independent lives to become their appendages. A common tactic is seizing economic control. Money isn't just currency, it's a symbol of freedom and power. Some controlling men force women to quit their jobs and become full-time housewives. Even if they don't demand quitting jobs, they tightly control women's finances, unwilling to provide even daily expenses. When women lose economic independence, they become dependent on their partners, even obeying them blindly. Additionally, controlling men often hinder women's social lives because they want to control their thoughts, emotions, and every move. And the more people women interact with, the more likely they are to encounter different perspectives and realize problems in the relationship. So it's best to stay home and not go out. Therefore, controlling men use various methods to prevent women from going out. And some husbands tell their wives, "You have a smart husband, why waste time with those foolish women?" Or, "If you want to talk about something, just talk to me." And in social settings where both are present, men create embarrassing scenes, like humiliating their partner in front of friends or flirting with other women. As a result, women naturally become unwilling to go out with him. Some controlling men similarly belittle her family, making her see them less to cut off ties and keep her under his control. What makes controlling men the way they are? The author notes that controlling men believe if they love a woman, she'll use it to hurt and control them. To quell these fears, controlling men do whatever they can to crush women's confidence. This way, women lose their backbone, do whatever they're told, and won't harm them. The author emphasizes family influences in the book. She argues that controlling men often have one dominant, controlling parent and the other overly submissive. Where the dad's controlling, boys witness him harming and demeaning their mom, leading them to believe women should be controlled. They copy this with future partners. Also, the moms in such families are usually weak, and some turn to their kids for help. These kids grow up controlling others to prove their power and make up for childhood helplessness. When women ask things or show negative feelings, it reminds him of his mom's unreasonable demands, leaving him powerless and scared. So he suppresses their confidence to stop them from making demands. On the other hand, when the mom's controlling, kids endure her strict rules. Jackie's husband, Mark, obeyed his mom on everything: dressing, eating, friends, books. If Mark resisted, she'd nag nonstop or even threaten suicide. In such families, dads are submissive. They avoid conflicts, don't stand up to their wives, and fail to support kids or help them face mom's fear. Thus, the kid thinks, if even dad won't stand up to mom, what can I do? Mark came to see all women as controlling like his mom, managing his life and robbing his manhood. If he doesn't control the woman early on, she'll end up controlling him. But a quick note, while family impacts everyone deeply, not everyone with dominant parents becomes controlling towards partners. Other factors matter too. Drawing from external sources, I'll outline 3 key reasons. First, insecurity. Some men feel inferior in income, education, or background, fearing women look down on them, so they nitpick and belittle women to avoid feeling inadequate. Second, narcissism. These men see themselves as the universe's center. Others exist only to serve their needs. They control partners personally and often demean subordinates professionally. Third, past failures that make some men terrified of further setbacks, like being dumped after years together, traumatizing them with abandonment fears. In future relationships, they seek control to prevent partners from leaving. And setbacks in work or life can also fuel this excessive need for control. All right, let's recap part one. We covered controlling men's three behaviors: self-centeredness, psychological abuse, damaging self-esteem, and restricting freedom. Their roots may lie in family, insecurity, narcissism, or past failures driving control obsession. Now, part two: why some women can't leave controlling men. Many women leave immediately upon realizing their partner is controlling, but others stay trapped in painful relationships for complex reasons. We'll explore four common causes. First, women depend on their partner's approval. Some believe their worth comes solely from their partner's validation. Career, money, reputation mean nothing. His actions dictate their mood, so they'll sacrifice anything to keep him. The second reason women don't leave controlling men is a savior complex. Some women believe that without them, the man's life would be a complete mess. And their love can heal their partner's life traumas, making him successful and responsible. This sense of rescue brings women deep satisfaction. So no matter how unreasonable the partner acts, women endure it. The author points out this is a heroism complex. Women believe saving men makes them noble, but this is an illusion. If a man constantly needs saving and can't solve problems himself, he's inherently unaccomplished and lacks initiative. Women can't expect sudden enlightenment from him. This one-sided rescue will only perpetuate endlessly. The third reason women don't leave is fear. First, fear of violence from their partner. Many controlling men threaten women with physical harm if disobeyed, smashing objects or shouting, making women fear for their safety. Others threaten to hit children or self-harm to coerce women, achieving the same effect. Thus, women endure silently, afraid to break up. Others fear they can't survive independently after leaving. For instance, they worry, after being a long-term housewife, can they even find a job now? The more people women interact with, the more likely they are to encounter different views and realize problems in the relationship. So it's best to stay home and not go out. Therefore, controlling men use various methods to prevent women from going out. Some husbands tell their wives, "You have a smart husband. Why waste time with those foolish women?" Or, "If you want to talk about something, just talk to me." In social settings where both attend, men create embarrassing scenes, like humiliating women publicly or flirting with others. As a result, women naturally become unwilling to go out with him. Some controlling men similarly belittle her family, making her see them less to cut off ties and keep her under his control. What makes controlling men the way they are? The author notes that controlling men believe if they love a woman, she'll use that love to hurt and control them. To eliminate these fears, controlling men will try every means to crush women's self-confidence. This way, women lose their backbone, obeying everything they say, and naturally won't harm them. The author emphasizes family influences in the book. She argues that controlling men often have one dominant, controlling parent and the other overly submissive. In families where the father is controlling, boys witness him harming and demeaning their mother, leading them to believe women should be controlled. They copy this behavior with future partners. Meanwhile, the mothers in such families are often weak, and some even turn to their children for help. These children may grow up controlling everyone around them to prove their capability and compensate for childhood helplessness. When women make demands or express negative emotions, it reminds him of his mother's excessive demands, making him feel overwhelmed and terrified. Thus, he suppresses women's confidence to stop them from making demands. On the other hand, in families where the mother is controlling, children endure her strict discipline. Jackie's husband, Mark obeyed his mother on everything, from dressing and eating to choosing friends and books. If Mark resisted, she'd nag nonstop or even threaten suicide. In such families, the father is often weak. When conflicts arise, he withdraws like a turtle, avoids arguing with his wife, and fails to give the child enough care or help them overcome fear of the mother. So the child thinks, if even dad won't stand up to mom, what can I do? Mark grew up believing all women are like his mother, controlling every aspect, robbing him of his manhood. If he doesn't control women early, then he'll be controlled by them. But a quick note, while family impacts everyone deeply, not everyone with dominant parents becomes controlling towards partners. Other factors matter too. Drawing from external sources, I'll outline 3 key reasons. First, insecurity. Some men feel inferior in income, education, or background, fearing women look down on them, so they nitpick and belittle women to avoid feeling inadequate. Second is narcissism. These men see themselves as the center of the universe. Others exist only to serve their needs and comfort. They control partners personally and often demean subordinates professionally. Third is past failures that make some men terrified of further setbacks, like being dumped after years together, traumatizing them with abandonment fears. In future relationships, they seek control to prevent partners from leaving. Setbacks in work or life can also fuel this excessive need for control. All right, let's recap the first part. We covered controlling men's 3 behaviors: self-centeredness and psychological abuse, damaging self-esteem, and restricting freedom. Their roots may lie in family, insecurity, narcissism, or past failures driving control obsession. Now, part 2. Why some women can't leave controlling men. Many women leave immediately upon realizing their partner is controlling, but others stay trapped in painful relationships for complex reasons. We'll explore 4 common causes. First, women depend on their partner's approval. Some believe their worth comes solely from their partner's validation. Career, money, reputation mean nothing. His actions dictates their mood, so they'll sacrifice anything to keep him. The second reason is a savior complex. Some women believe that, without them, the man's life would be a complete mess, and their love can heal his life traumas, making him successful and responsible. This sense of rescue brings deep satisfaction. So no matter how unreasonable he acts, women endure it. The author calls this a heroism complex. Women believe saving men makes them noble, but this is an illusion. If a man constantly needs saving and can't solve his own problems, he's inherently unaccomplished and lacks initiative. Women can't expect sudden enlightenment. This one-sided rescue will perpetuate endlessly. The third reason women don't leave controlling men is fear, specifically fear of their partner using violence. Many controlling men threaten women that if they don't obey, they'll get physical, smashing things or shouting, making women fear harm. Others threaten to hit children or self-harm to coerce women, achieving the same effect. Thus, women endure silently, afraid to break up. Others fear they can't survive independently after leaving their partner. Not all. For example, they worry, after being a long-term housewife, can they even find a job now? Can my income alone support myself and my child? Will I end up alone without a partner in the future? These thoughts fill women with insecurity about the future, leading them to choose not to break up. The author found that most women with these thoughts also come from families with a dominant, controlling father. In families with a weak mother, like Jackie's father, who would scold her mother for not closing the cabinet door, calling her selfish and lazy, and even throwing pots and pans out the door. Her mother was tearful but helpless, often complaining to Jackie, who asked why she didn't leave her father. Her mother's response was, "What am I supposed to do? Who will take care of me?" Growing up in such a family, Jackie believed that women can't survive in this world without a man. Men have the right to give orders, and women must obey unconditionally. As she grew up, Jackie believed that even if women lose dignity and self-worth, they should find a man to survive. She saw the insults and harm from controlling men as a necessary cost for survival. Women don't leave controlling men. The fourth reason is believing they themselves are at fault. Controlling men suppress women's self-esteem and confidence, constantly shifting blame. Over time, some women come to believe it's true, thinking they caused the man's outbursts by not doing well enough. Sometimes women even justify their partner's behavior, rationalizing it. For example, taking time daily to read favorite books, going to the gym, weekly dinners with friends, or attending hobby classes. This concludes the section on insecurity. Next, let's talk about how to deal with anger. This anger can be directed at partners or fathers. Both types of men can make women angry. These pent-up emotions can lead to various psychological and physiological problems. To help women vent their anger and avoid being crushed by it. So the author suggests women write letters to controlling men. These letters won't be sent. In the letter, women can recall how partners or fathers treated them, express their feelings, and release years of pent-up anger and grievances. Besides letter writing, verbal venting is also highly effective. The author brings an empty chair, asking women to treat it as their father or partner, starting sentences with, "How could you?" to voice unspoken anger.
For example, how could you humiliate me over spilled milk? Or how could you mock me in front of others?
After voicing these aloud, women feel significantly lighter. For some with deep-seated rage, verbal venting alone isn't enough. The author gives them plastic bats to hit the chair representing the controlling man while shouting. This proves highly effective. Additionally, exercise serves as excellent emotional release.
The author encourages women to channel anger into physical activity.
Once confidence is built and anger released, women become psychologically ready to break free. Now comes step 3, setting behavioral boundaries and changing attitudes toward partners. Women must clearly state their needs and non-negotiable boundaries. For example, I need respect, freedom to express opinions, civil communication, no insults, constant criticism, or public humiliation. Of course, controlling men may respond with sarcasm or threats to revert to old dynamics. To maintain boundaries and break free, women need behavioral and psychological preparation. Behaviorally, the author advises rehearsing scenarios beforehand. Ask a friend to role-play as your partner for daily conversation simulations.
Practice new conflict responses. Express needs clearly and demand respect instead of submission. For example, a friend might shout, "Didn't I tell you to see your friends less? Didn't you hear me or what?"
The woman can respond, "It's my freedom to see my friends. I'm standing here not to listen to your yelling. When you calm down, we'll talk again." Practice this repeatedly. After multiple practices, this new attitude becomes natural, ensuring you won't panic when facing your partner.
Otherwise, you'll revert to old patterns.
Psychologically, remember, controlling men both love and fear you. They're terrified of abandonment and loneliness, hence their control tactics. When you demand freedom, he may escalate, getting angrier, slamming doors, or giving silent treatment for days. But these are just masks for his insecurity.
Don't be intimidated. Insist on your boundaries. Believe you deserve respect. This forces real change in his treatment.
However, the author warns, some men may escalate from emotional to physical abuse when resisted. Physical violence means he's lost all rationality.
Staying after this tells him you'll tolerate anything, making escape impossible.
In such cases, immediately take children to safe places, seek legal aid, and demand intervention from protection services or police.
Never meet him alone. Bring friends or legal representatives to prevent further violence.
At this critical moment, use every resource to assert your boundaries. Demand apologies or therapy. The stronger your stance, the more he'll back down, making reconciliation possible. Breaking free from control. Step 4 addresses breakup fears. If previous methods fail, leaving becomes necessary. As mentioned, facing separation brings fears, financial survival, dying alone. The author advises writing negative thoughts, then rewriting them as positive affirmations. For example, replace "no one else will love me" I'll be alone forever. With, this breakup shows me what love I need. Next time I'll find a better partner for a lasting, warm relationship. Plus, I now have more free time to make friends. I won't be lonely. By comparing these thoughts, women realize their original fears aren't facts, but anxiety-driven exaggerations. Life has endless possibilities. With persistent effort, solutions always emerge. Some women fear separation due to concerns about their children. The author states this worry lacks solid evidence. With sufficient maternal love, children from single-parent families thrive just as well. Conversely, overwhelming evidence shows children from abusive homes develop psychological issues, withdrawal, depression, and relationship struggles. So leaving benefits them too.
Finally, the author stresses that breaking free is a long, arduous process, often requiring professional help.
But even therapy has controlling practitioners who harbor biases against women. When choosing therapists, trust your instincts. Good ones make you feel safe, respected, and understood. If after sessions the therapist blames you, excuses your partner, and leaves you uneasy, switch immediately. All right, let's summarize part 3. To break free, women must recognize unhealthy dynamics, process emotions, set boundaries, and shift attitudes. If partners refuse to change, overcome separation fears, and leave. With this, we've nearly covered attached. Healthy relationships require mutual respect and equality, not sacrificing freedom or selfhood. Otherwise, it only deepens our pain. The author urges women to practice self-love and reject self-sacrifice. This doesn't conflict with being loving or generous. People with self-worth can love others better and earn their partner's respect. All right, that concludes Attached.